Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Modern Warfare 3 is just about to release and we have lots of updates on the way the game is presently looking. Some of which on the positive, some of which certainly on the negative. Some big glitches spotted in the game already. The spawns was a massive conversation in the beta. Some people say they're better, some people say they haven't really changed all that much. And that certainly means that we could have many maps in this year's rotation that don't necessarily on paper look to be especially viable. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, this is a big talking point of today, and an unfortunate one at that, on the jerseys for next season. The rumour had it, I think there was a picture that went around yesterday with Ghosty with his new Los Angeles Thieves jersey, and it was like the same one as last year's. People were thinking, what's going on there? Are we just getting the same jerseys again? Turns out we are, because as John Robinson says here from 100 Thieves, this year's jersey is the same as last year's. The league made us commit to one design for 2022 and 2023 back in 21. Appreciate the concept, excited to work on something fresh for next year. So again, it's like, why? Why is this needed? It was cool, right, that the league said, all right, guys, you can make your own jersey designs. Here you go. Why did that have to be for a 2-year project? You know what I mean? I don't really understand why that's necessary. But yeah, apparently they are forced to run the same jerseys again. And as Crone says, yeah, they'll be wearing the same jersey designs. So some of them are cool, no doubt. Now, sure, some of them will be different because there are literally different teams. Ravens, they're not going to run the London Royal Ravens one again, are they? And obviously Heretics are no longer Florida. But for the teams that are the same, it's going to be the same jerseys. Some of which were nice, some of which were somewhat underwhelming. I don't mind it. It doesn't, like, you know, make or break the year for me. But it's just one of these things that you'd think, is that really necessary? Because you're running the same jerseys 2 years in a row. Surely everyone that's already bought those jerseys for the team that they like is not now going to buy another one that's literally the same, but for the next season. Maybe they will. But for a lot of sports, that's like a big thing when the season starts. Like, oh, here's the new set of jerseys. And people that are really fans of those teams will then be keen to buy, you know, the 2022 jersey, the 2023 jersey, and then have all the collection. If they're the same, there's no point to do that. So, you know, it's already hard enough for these teams to make money. Whatever. It's another classic CDL moment right there. Now, this from Illy, just quickly. Modern Warfare 2, as the new game's about to launch. Playing the old game with RSTs and won a $400 Elite tournament yesterday. So, definitely on the grind, and you can expect this duo to be pretty impressive when the game launches. Whether that remains when the CDL begins, that is another question entirely. Nadeshot also confirms that after grinding a lot of Valorant lately, this is going to be the team, and Nadeshot has agreed to do it. We saw the other day that Scump said that Scump said that JurNii had told him that Nadeshot was down. And Scump bows Nadeshot and MettalZ as a challenger team for 2024. I do wonder a little bit if the whole Pred thing is going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works, just because if Scump actually has to practice and scrim with the main team in a few days' time before Pred arrives, you know, that's going to take away from the potential practice time of Scump, Bows, JurNii, and Nadeshot. But this will be phenomenal. Hopefully they do it. And, well, apparently he's agreed to do it. So whether that works out for them, now, sure, they're not actually going to try and win challenges, are they? Let's be honest. They're going to play for maybe a month for good content, and then with the CDL launches, they will probably not do that for too much longer. But the game is about to be here, and one of the big conversations of the beta was the spawns, the way the maps are going to work, the hardpoint rotations on some of these maps, which hills are where, are they just going to copy and paste what they've done for some of these maps in COD Mobile, or is it going to be something slightly different? Now, Exclusive Ace has seemingly access to the game already, and he's done some testing from the beta to the main game in local games with bots, and his opinion is the spawns have changed quite drastically. They can handle much more pressure before flipping, and they now seem to have a strong attachment to domination flags that your team holds. These things are good and indicate the spawn systems are probably moving in the right direction, but does that mean they work for other game modes? I mean, this is a big talking point, especially for CTF as well. CTF isn't even in the game, but if the pros were to have tried to play it, and if it was in the game, which unfortunately it isn't, spawns are a massive deal in CTF. They really make or break the game, the spawn locations and the spawn logic. And if they'd have done that successfully, sure, CTF could work. If they don't, it doesn't work. And it's the same with other game modes as well. Spawn's always a big topic of conversation. even if they're bad, sometimes they might be readable, but if they're kind of unreadable and they're bad, then it's an absolute shambles. So Ace's initial perception was it's looking much better compared to the beta based on these early tests and what he's done so far. However, some don't necessarily fully agree, because easyMac has gone in and done some testing himself and has said that some of these initial control spawns are very questionable. This is the issue that at least we had Hardpoint in the beta, so it's plausible that some of that might work. They might have fixed it. Control wasn't played in the beta, was it? I'm pretty sure it's just here in the release of the game, which means that they haven't really had any testing on the control spawns. Are they any good? Apparently not. As easyMac says, some of these spawns are so questionable, it's almost like they accidentally flipped attacking and defending. So I guess it's an easy fix, which is like, how does that even work? I can't wrap my head around how that's possible. As easyMac says, attackers spawn right next to the points. So he's like, you know, it's difficult to wrap your head around exactly how that could even be possible. It could even work, but apparently the control spawns are completely busted right now. So that's a bit of a thing to work on. Now, as Doug Levy says, so they should have them fixed up by January. This is the thing. The game comes out now. There will be major problems with this game. We've already seen them getting released. They need to be fixed right now. Now, do I have more faith in Sledgehammer to do that than I would in Infinity Ward? Yes, but is there some concern that some of these major issues for competitive, because let's be honest, how many people in public matches play Control? Not many, you know. They're in TDM, they're in Domination, you guys know how it is. Control is going to be a low percentage game mode that is low down the list of priorities, but it's pretty important for competitive if it is the third mode for the season, which I'd imagine means they want to fix it quick. If these are serious issues, will they? That's another question. Now, Austin does say that Hardpoint don't look so bad, and there are some good-looking control maps. So maybe it's not the spawn logic that's entirely busted. It's more so just on certain maps. I don't know what they've done with the spawns, but it doesn't make any sense. He does feel like map pool should have plenty of options. This is the thing with 16 maps. At least there should be 3 or 4 that work, you know. Even if the spawns on some of them are busted and they're not fixed until January, there should be some that are okay, you would at least hope for. Now, this is what JP says, though, on the Hardpoint map pool predictions. Because going into this game, I would have said probably Invasion, Karachi, Scrapyard. Probably I'd have said Terminal, I'd have thrown that in there as well, and then maybe even High Rise. Those are maps that were played back in the day. But to be honest, it depends where the Hardpoint locations are. I saw some people throwing around where the Terminal ones are. Most of it looks fine, but the final Terminal Hardpoint apparently is not particularly well placed and looks like it could be just a snake-off fest. So JP Chris has looked into it, and based on where the location for the hills are, he reckons these might be the most viable maps. Invasion, which was played in competitive a lot back in the day. Rundown, which would be really interesting to see. Karachi, and Subbase was one that I thought, looking at it, okay, wasn't really played in competitive back in the day, but it could theoretically be okay for Hardpoint, I thought. And then Afghan, I mean, what are we doing here? Like, there's no way Afghan could be playable. Now, JB does say that he forgot about Scrapyard and should definitely be in there instead of Afghan. 5 Hardpoint maps is fine. Just to mention which maps are which, this is Invasion, this is Karachi, and of course we've got Rundown here on the left-hand side, which was one with like a bridge in the middle. It was, you know, all these maps, all I remember of them really are just the sniper montages that I used to watch on these back in the day. Subbase, pretty self-explanatory. The Scrapyard, and yeah, and then we've got Afghan top left. This is the map with the plane crash in the middle. It's just a desert. It's wide open. There's a cliff up top. I don't think anyone saw this map as a competitive map. This is what Ghosty says. Well, maybe he's being legit, maybe he's joking. Afghan would be a top 2 Hardpoint map, but people are going to be scared of a cliff. And Clay's like, brother, shut your mouth right now. You've got no idea what you're talking about. And leave this one to the people that actually know what they're doing. And as Attach says, it better not be, you know, like Afghan better not be. That would be crazy, says Slasher. So this is the thing, that it depends not just on the spawns and the way they work, but also where the hardpoints even are. I mean, they've got to come up with something, and these maps were not designed for hardpoint. Now, hardpoint is such a great game mode that I think that it probably can work on basically any map, but it has to be well made for that map with the way the spawns work, with the way the hardpoint rotations are, and if they choose bad locations, then even maps such as Terminal, which should be viable, might not be even played, which would be frustrating if that's not the case. The idea, I mean, Rundown actually could be plausible as well. I definitely see some potential in these maps, I guess, but it does depend a lot, and for good reason, on the hardpoint locations. Now, the Ghost of Hope actually posted the hardpoint locations and their hills for all of these maps, at least for these 8 maps, and despite the fact that all of these images were literally screenshots of 2009's map overview, and then he'd written on the P1, P2, P3, etc., where the hardpoints are. So it was not a screenshot from this game at all, but he got DMCA'd for it, even though that none of the images that he shared were actually from the new game. It was simply the old map overview with the current hardpoint locations written on top of it. But yeah, Activision wanted to strike that down, so unfortunately we can't look through them and see where they are. But yeah, just to show you guys what was going on there. Now, there's other problems in the game as well. Because of DMCA stuff, I can't share these clips until the game launches, but there was a couple of clips going around on the, well, Terminal was one. I think the other one might have been on Karachi, possibly. So you might remember at the start of the most recent game, at Modern Warfare 2, makes me think as well whether this new game is literally a copy and paste and they've just tried to paper over the cracks with some actual good changes. But there was a glitch where if you slid into the bomb site while you were trying to defuse the bomb, you could like slide away with the bomb and end up like, you know, several meters past the bomb site round a corner, still defusing it. That glitch still exists on this game. There was also spotted that on Terminal, the bomb site that's inside the plane, you can actually just go onto the wing of the plane and plant from there. So, you know, it's not exactly great. And these are the things with the new title that need to be fixed ASAP, and I'm sure that a lot of them will be. But understandably, at the moment, there are plenty of problems and concerns about the game. The way that Hardpoint's going to work is a big one. Lots of the glitches that will be here on release, also a big one. And we've got less now than a month until the opening weekends, which is, you know, a reasonable time frame. I agree that the game should be starting for competitive 1 month roughly after the game releases. But the way that it worked out this time, especially with the game releasing quite late as it has done on November the 10th compared to what it maybe has for the previous couple of years, and with probably loads of issues to resolve on launch, I don't really know what competitive is going to look like when we're here in December. Let's be honest, last year the event in Raleigh was won by the Subliners, and that looked like a bit of a fluke result when the season progressed and Major 2, Major 3, they weren't looking so good. All of a sudden at the end of the year, Subliners showed that wasn't necessarily a fluke after all, but you do often see that the first event, you do tend to get some surprises in the winner and certainly even in second place. I mean, you know, Seattle were not good this most recent year, but they came second at the first event to the Subliners that won it in a pretty surprising fashion. So anything can usually happen in the first part of the game, largely because the game's already new, people are still learning it, but also there's maybe more randomness in the game because of inherent issues that the game launches with that we will probably see plenty of going forward. Doesn't mean we're going to be forced to play Afghan at Hardpoint in this game. I doubt it. The players seemingly don't want it. But yeah, I guess we'll have to stay tuned and find out for that one. So very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot, man.
Window and garage. Oh! Ooh!
Actually, I took that there.
Ooh, keep going! Ooh!
Spike down A.
This one's mid.
You all need a
Going back towards
POV.
mid, towards the window.
Oh yeah!
Window.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh, that was
Keep
clean.
going!